sometimes you have to speak truth to power. Oh, hell no! It's not about popularity. Yeah!
Bring the beat back.
Let's have that conversation.
All right, so go, man. Listen, we live. It's all gonna be the camera all on you. So you the only thing on the camera right now. I'm gonna work this with you. Okay, so they see it right now. It's on live. We're on Facebook right now.
Okay, so what you all are seeing is not a test. This is us going live for Blount Conversation Live, and I have my man Deontay Cooley here, and he's giving it to City Council right now. And so I'm gonna let you all hear it for a minute, and then we're gonna bust it up for a minute, and we're gonna have a blunt conversation about this.
Abusive personalities and archetypes being empowered, they need to be removed. And that's all I have to say.
I don't know if you can hear the sound in that, but
Good morning. My name is Deontay Cooley, lifelong Erie resident. Here today to speak to something similar. Everything everybody else is talking about is the incident with the police officer hitting Kevin Sparks and then tackling him and then jumping on top of him and beating him. And I have a couple of things to say about that. And a lot of things that I'm going to say are going to be very unfavorable because, like, I've built a relationship to where I've been able to work with some of the officers in the police athletic league to be able to serve some of the young people, to be able to work with or build some of those relationships with police and community members. And I remember a time, and I'm looking at it, I posted a status on Facebook, and it said, one thing I learned after working 2 days with the PAL program is them kids be telling the police all their parents' personal business. Y'all better tighten up. And I had two laughing faces emojis. After that status got posted, I got a phone call from the president of the organization that I was working for, and he said he received a phone call from the police asking, hey, what's up with your guy? He's saying these things, or whatever the case may be. And then I also was pulled to the side by a police officer to say to me, hey, what's up with the Facebook post? Because I know a couple people on the team, they're a little concerned, and they're saying, is that your boy? And I'm pretty sure me saying this now, there may not be another opportunity for me to work with Powell, which is fine because I have no problem with working in my community, because I also asked to be involved with some of the summer programs and exchange my email information with one of the police officers, and I had not heard anything. But the reason why I bring all this information to the attention is because a Facebook post that I made called for the company I was working for as president to be called, as well as for a police officer to pull me to a side. There was a police officer who hit a man with a car, got out of the car, tackled him, and then they attacked him. So I'm curious to know if any of those officers had a conversation with that officer to say, hey, you can't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. Even just outside of, we got to wait for an investigation and all of that. We talk about being humans. We talk about, like, having morals. Like, we're not condemning that behavior. We're condoning that behavior. But on that same day, 20 minutes prior to the incident taking place, I was leaving Country Fair, and the police pulled up on me aggressively. I didn't know they were pulling up on me. Parked back in my spot, ran up on my car. Where's your ID? Where's your ID? You got ID? I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Other people were noticing, coming over. They telling me, pull my phone up. I'm like, I don't have my ID. We're looking for it. They asked me a name. What's up? That's not me. Well, you look like the guy. Where's your ID? That's not me. I pulled my phone out, and I said, listen, I'm going to show you my Facebook. I said to him, you might not want to do this. It's Deontay Cooley. He said, oh, let me, and he left, and he got out of the way. I get on Facebook 20 minutes later, and I see the incident with Kevin Sparks, and this is what I'm going to say. And what it looked like to me, because another police officer came, and another police officer came. As I was pulling off, they were swarming the block. And a lot of you are not going to understand what I'm going to say, and a lot of you are. That day, the Erie Police Department was hunting niggas. That's what they were doing. That's exactly what they were doing, because you see it all day. They swarm around in these trucks. We're paying for these vehicles. We pay for it. So we talk about tax dollars, and we talk about being in a deficit. I hope this family sues this officer, because we're going to continue to, sues the police station, sues the Erie City. We're in a $12 million deficit, but yet this officer may still be working, maybe because of it's the union or whatever the case may be. A crime was committed. And then even if we say, oh, well, he tried to stop him because he was fleeing on a bike, so he hit him with a car. Okay, you got him there. He was fleeing. And then he tried to get up and he runs, so he tackled him. Okay, you got him there. You tackled him. But then when you get on top of a man and you start beating him and you tase him to arrest him, that is inhumane. That is inhumane. That is use of excessive force. That is a crime. A crime was committed. And this is what I will say, and I'm only saying it because I'm sitting in front of you two gentlemen. I'm pretty sure you two do not understand the feeling that comes in the pit of your stomach as a black man when you see a police vehicle behind you. You guys do not understand how that man could have been in fear for his life. So he got hit by a car. Then he was tackled and then he was beat. If he would have fought for his life, he would have been killed because a year ago, a man was killed by his parole agent and nothing has happened. So we are frustrated. And I understand, Dari, I reached out to you. I pray for you because I know this is not your fault. This is not your fault. It is your responsibility. I know you inherited a bunch of mess in administration. I prayed for you last night and this morning because I know that this is not going to be easy, but the tough decision needs to be made. We can't fund people who think that this type of behavior is acceptable. I'm not exactly sure what the police department is going to do. I'm not sure if it's going to be a conflict with their union, but he needs to be fired. Because again, I'm telling you as a black man, what it looked like and what it felt like. And I know that I do my duties in the city of Erie. And I'm a very responsible person. The police should not approach me in the manner they approached me because I've done nothing wrong. But they were hunting niggas that day. And you don't have to like it, but that's what it feels like. So when I say that and it makes everybody in this room uncomfortable, that is how we feel when we see police. We feel like niggas is being hunted. And I don't care if I offend somebody. This is what it feels like and it hurts.
Thank you. So there we go, bro.
There we go. So as you put it, hunting black people.
Right. Because I said it in the term of how they said, back in the day. You know what I mean? That's how I took it as far as like, I feel like people just rally up and this is what we're doing. This is what we're going to do. So I wasn't saying it to be offensive or to offend anybody, but it felt like one of them back in the day movies that you see where it's just like, all right, let's get the crosses, let's get the gasoline, let's get the crew and let's do our thing. So that's what I meant when I said that.
Cool. Hey, for context, sometimes we start off right in the middle of something. I want to focus on both. I want to focus on what you were saying, but also I want to update people who haven't seen the incident that you was talking about. I guess it happened with a brother by the name of Kevin Sparks.
Right.
And allegedly he had outstanding warrants and he was riding an e-cycle or e-bike or a bike. And he was not just stopped, he was cut off or rammed into by a vehicle, a police vehicle, am I correct?
Right.
Okay, he hits them or they hit him and he gets off. He was knocked down off by the vehicle. He runs. They apprehend him. He's on his stomach.
Right.
We got agreements on that.
Right.
Okay,
right.
so we're good. My audience, this is what happens since I don't have the video. And while he's on his stomach, a couple of blows happen. And this is where there's an undeniable problem that I have right here. He was no longer a threat. And what you give me your take on what you saw.
So pretty much from what I saw, the first video I saw, I seen him, he was riding his bike. I'm not sure if it was east or west. I seen a police vehicle come up onto the sidewalk, but like on the ramp, it was on the angle coming towards like the driveway in the street. So the police car and him ran into one another, for lack of better words.
Yes.
To me, it looked like the car hit him, but it wasn't like the car drove through him. It was like it was one of those, they knew exactly when to brake and how to brake.
Yes.
Like, we're going to catch him, right? We're going to collide with him, boom, not run him over.
Yes.
So you see that part happen. So then you see him get up and run. So when he ran, before I watched it again, I thought they tackled him. They tased him.
Okay.
So they tased him, he fell. So now he's down.
He's
right?
down.
He's down.
No doubt about it, he's down.
No doubt about it, he's down. And from what I saw in the video, he did not look like he was resisting.
No.
So you know what I mean? You got him on the ground. He's not resisting. And then as you're cuffing him, it looked like a couple knees to the back and a couple blows to the head. And it's like, even when he was getting hit, he wasn't even like moving, or he wasn't even like trying to get up and run or squirm or nothing like that. So I would be curious to see what that body cam looks like.
Yes. We're waiting on the body cam. But I didn't see a threat to the officer that warranted the punching.
Right.
And this is what gets me about law enforcement. Okay, the man had an outstanding warrant or whatever, but the engagement level that we engage or we initiate engagement has to be some consensus to this. Does it warrant the response? An outstanding warrant on what? Was it a misdemeanor? Was it child support? Was it a homicide or whatever? And I think you engage it by the level of the threat. And I wish we would start addressing these type of things, because this goes back to Moncello. And really with Cello, the incident with Cello is still there can never be justice
Right.
for what happened to Cello.
Right.
But what it can be is reform. And we need to establish some rules of engagement because a life was lost with 2 weeks left on parole.
Right.
And it wasn't a violent thing. We could have, whatever you thought he may have done, you could have caught him later.
Yeah.
It didn't elevate, or it shouldn't have elevated to the level that it had elevated to. And yet we still have not gotten any type of reform from this to prevent this from happening again.
Right.
And really, this is a shout out to our state government, and particularly, when we come up here and we have these Black Caucus members come up here. I'm saying this to you. I want you to introduce legislation so this don't happen again. I don't want you coming up here just to let the steam out of the community. So we get up and we say this, blah, you say, hey, I hear you, or whatever. No, I want some legislation. This is what you do. You legislate. That's the only thing you have to offer me, really.
Right.
You're coming up here. What are you coming up here for?
Parents.
That part. So if you're not coming back and taking something away to legislate, what was the purpose?
Yeah, man. I mean, again, yeah, because I think it's more or less like everybody was calling, because I was, real big into all of that stuff. We calling for the governor, we calling for the mayor, and we asking everybody to do something. So I think, like, social media is powerful.
Yes.
So then you had a lot of people who knew some of these legislators. So then they start getting tagged and they start showing their face. So they did come up to kind of be like, okay, let's go up there and at least show that somebody's willing to do something. Because the people who were local, as far as our state reps, they weren't really saying anything. They were being very quiet. So I think that was more or less like let's support our colleagues with other people in our state because they can't do it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like send reinforcements from out of town because we can't do anything. They can't do anything. But at least if we send some Black legislators up there, it'll at least look like we care.
Yeah. However, I'm gonna change the verb. They refuse to do anything.
Okay.
I ain't gonna let them off the hook.
Okay.
No, because they so proudly take the credit for what they can do and what they have introduced. I'm giving them something to introduce. You tell me why you can't introduce it.
Right.
There should be a Marcello bill where that doesn't happen anymore, named after him. So it's a reminder, not just when we get to the civil suit and you write the check and everybody goes away, where you go away and you paid the check or you wrote the check, but a child doesn't have a son no more.
Right.
So to prevent that, what is in place now to prevent that? What changed in your training? What changed in your whatever? So we gotta be done with the ceremonies and the symbolism stuff.
Right.
It is the check.
Yeah.
It is the legislation, and that's what legislators do. Outside of the rhetorical stuff that they do. But now is not the time for rhetorical stuff. Now is the time for some legislation proposals. That's what they brag about later. That's when you come up here and you ask me, hey man, can you support me? Can you donate? Can you vote for me? And the why has to happen. The why, what have you done?
Right.
And the only thing that you can really do is legislate. Or you could introduce, you could try. And I haven't seen those type of efforts. I seen the show. I seen, oh man, we had this meeting.
Yeah, at the church.
It was 500 people there.
Yeah.
Man, we turned it out.
Yeah, we talked to these folks and we did all of these things. But yeah, when you say legislation.
Legislation.
But then even when you think about the other thing, right? Because this is something that I'm like, want people to understand, and let's start kind of like considering connecting the dots. There was a police officer that hit a man and killed him a year ago. And I believe there was another incident that took place in that exact same space, but I'm not sure if the person died or not, right? Nothing happened to those officers as far as charges. So you think you think psychologically, and we study in the mind, me as a police officer, I may now be thinking, nothing's going to happen to me if I use this vehicle as a weapon. So I believe that because of past practice and because nothing has taken place and because it seems as though the behavior is acceptable, somewhere in the mind of that police officer, he felt like he feels justified. Because somebody got away with killing a man with a vehicle, and then there was another incident that took place, and it's just kind of like, okay, well, yeah, we're not going to do anything about that. Sorry, family of the lost one. So now the police officer is kind of like, oh, yeah, we can do this. I think that's like the mindset. I think that's what it's going to eventually turn into, or I think that's what it turned into, and that's why that took place. So even when you talk about legislation and stuff like that, I think they need to clear up the guidelines as far as like, and it's crazy to have to say this, but like, what do we use the police vehicles for specifically? Are they weapons? You know what I mean? Are they battering rams, or are they just vehicles that you can ride around and cruise and then pursue any event that you need to pursue? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, here we go again. That's where I'm gonna go back to the legislators. If you're violating the law, you'll think twice about it. And when you have this, which came from legislators, they have immunity, which came from the courts, which basically excuse most of their actions. It's always erring on the side of their decision.
Right.
However, once you abandon training, we do agree, most law enforcement do. Once you decide to use deadly force, you're basically on your own.
Yeah.
And they tell you this. And that vehicle can be construed as deadly force. And it's even when you mace a person or you know the amount of air, whatever restraint you use.
Mm-hmm.
All those things are levels of force that they are trained on as professionals.
Right.
See, that's the other part we have to. I know we allow for, hey man, they have this tough job and
right,
and they have to make this. I get that. I
signed
really
up
do.
for it.
But my point is, damn, at least admit when you're wrong. They don't even want to get that.
Part. And this is something too, right? Because when you think about that incident and you compare it to the Marcello Woodard incident, right? This is what I will say. As soon as it took place, the following day, who was the first organization to say we had nothing to do with that? The Erie Police.
Yes.
They came out, we had nothing to do with that. It wasn't us. We support you guys. They came out during the protest. They led the first march from Dollar General to the Booker T. Washington Center. The police were everywhere as far as like being active and helping and supporting, right? Now, the Erie Police has done something. I don't think they made a statement yet on behalf of the police. I know that our mayor came out and said, this is an investigation. But when it was Cello and when Parole killed Cello, the police were very vocal. Oh, it wasn't us. We support you guys. How can I help? They testified in court and all of those things. Now that it's the Erie Police Department, it's more or less like I wonder if what Parole's thinking. Like, are they mocking that? Like, oh, well, say something. Now y'all jumped on the bandwagon now. You know what I mean? And played a Twitter game. Like, did you ever think to consider that?
I never really thought about that, and I think that can be in play because a lot of departments are territorial and they have their own culture, and they might have been offended by the take of Erie PD, and now it comes back to Erie PD. Although eventually before Cello, it usually was Erie PD, not excusing this because the Marcello incident is the first time in history, a PA history, where that has happened. So again, I go back to, we have to propose something to prevent it, because I would ask the governor, and I would ask, he's been here many times, the Black Caucus, which is saying they're coming back up or whatever. What did we put in place to prevent that? Now,
right.
That's it.
If anything.
Because it's in the court system, that'll play out right there. But what did we put? The court won't put in place something that will prevent this again. Has their training changed? What has changed in the structure to prevent this attitude that you can do this? Where his partner, Joe, Jamal, or whoever the partner was, could have said, hey, man, he only got 2 weeks left, man. We ain't doing all of that.
We
ain't doing all that or whatever. I don't want to be part of that. And see, but no, he was gassed up with that badge,
right,
and with that immunity, and he felt he could do whatever. And how dare he resist, or how dare he do whatever to offend me? And I'm not saying Cello resisted. I'm saying that's how empowered that officer felt in that minute. Right. And with power, I think I heard you say something. What Uncle Ben said to Spider-Man. He said, with power comes responsibility. I watch everything, bro. I watch everything. So, this is the other part that law enforcement or people in power has to understand. With power comes responsibility, when to utilize that and when not to utilize that, because they are, bottom line, public servants. And then what happens when this type of stuff happens, you become an occupier of the neighborhood, not a part of the neighborhood, but an occupying force. And is that what you want? Because I tell you what it does, it discredits everything that Powell is trying to do. Because Powell is now looking like a promotional piece or Powell. And that's the other part where I'm shocked other officers don't say that.
Right.
You're making our job harder.
Right.
Instead of saying, no, it's the blue code. I can't go against no. You should be saying, man, no, man, hey, I got next shift, Joe. I got next shift, Mike. Hey, you just made it harder for me.
Right.
Now, if you could stand on that and you feel it was the right thing to do, then I would like to know why. I would love a public opportunity where we go, like we look at like game film. You tell me why that was proper engagement.
Like watching them play it back and like and explain that. Describe that to me.
Describe that. Now, for those that say he shouldn't resist it, okay, he shouldn't committed a crime. You still have rights.
Absolutely. And that's why I said what I said, even at that council meeting, because I'm like, I'm sure people will say, oh, well, you shouldn't have been running. They hit him with the car, so that's why they hit him. Okay, well, then if that's the justification, even if it is, then it's like, oh, well, he got up and tried to run again, so he tased him. Okay, if that's the justification. But when he's down on the ground,
that part,
and you do those things, like, what's the justification there?
And perhaps he's seen the incident that happened in Meadville, I think, a year ago.
Listen,
where it's the same situation. And that guy, they said that was okay. To the optics of me, and there's no way that was okay.
Right. So then it's just like, when should you not run? You know what I mean? If you're gonna get hit by a car, you can get beat on the ground. If you're gonna get shot, if you're gonna get tased, like complying sounds like suicide.
Well, also the reason why we've evolved here and we play your section is because you personalized this. See, this was I want to go back to the context of this. You had an experience prior to this that puts it in context of mindset of why people might run.
Absolutely.
Because if there's, Rich Pryor used to make a joke about a chokehold, and he would say the white audience is saying, I didn't know about the chokehold, but the black community knew about that chokehold. Mm-hmm. Well, the black community knows how sometimes the police ride at night around here. Mm-hmm. They know how they don't do that in Mill Creek. Well, put it this way, they might get the DUI people in Mill Creek, but they don't roll as aggressive right here where your life might be in danger.
Right. Multiple vehicles at that.
There we go.
Multiple vehicles at that, because like I said, like I was at Country Fair. I was going to Country Fair in the morning. I'm leaving out the store. I get in my car. I'm throwing in reverse. I'm backing up. So I'm like, and I heard the car like, vroom. So I'm like, let me pull in. I pulled into the spot thinking they're going around me because it's a tight place. I look in the mirror to see, and it's a dude walking up to my car. Where's your ID? Where's your ID? I'm like, oh, you here for me? And it's people, like somebody was like, yo, D, what's up, D? And he was cussing, they tripping, pull your phone out, record him. I'm looking at the dude like, what's up? And he's like, where's your ID? Are you? I'm like, no, I'm not that person. Where are you? But the thing is like, if you're looking for a certain person, I know who they were actually looking for.
Yeah.
I look nothing like the dude. You know what I mean? So then it's like, I feel like I was profiled. Yes. And they were saying that you being profiled. I didn't have my ID on the car. I live right on the corner from the store. So I'm like, let me just show you my Facebook. I'm like, somebody else was coming. So when I said like, you don't want to do this, I was telling him because people knew who he was messing with.
Yes.
And everybody was coming to make a noise. And I was not trying to create
Yes.
I just want to go back home. Definitely. You know what I mean? So when I said that to him, I pulled my phone, showed him. He's like, okay, well, let me get out your way, move my car so you can go. He went around, I backed up. I seen him coming around from the other side of the store, and then one of the bigger cars were coming, and then another one was coming down the street. So I'm just like, it's 3 police cruisers out here, big cruisers, and y'all looking for one person, and that person happens to look like me? I could only imagine what the person they was I can only imagine the person they were looking for, how that person would have felt if they would have had that same encounter and they actually was the person they were looking for. Because he like, get out the car, where's your ID? And I'm like, well, you know what's going on? So imagine if I was the dude and I'm asking questions while he talking to me, he already aggressive and up. And it was like, I'm not sure, like when you think about that level of aggression from those police officers, you think about the size of those police officers and like, I be seeing them dudes in the gym and stuff like that. And it's just like, yo, like, where's all of this energy coming from? You know what I mean?
And not just that. You never know who you're talking to because it's a small world. Don't you participate in the POW program?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was working. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm working with the POW. I done did multiple sessions, like we done did violence prevention. We done vape prevention. We did gambling prevention. And then we did emotional wellness. And when I say like ran it, like it was a session. I went to all the schools and then next session. So it was like 6 weeks, next session, 6 weeks, next session, 6 weeks. So I'm like, I'm familiar with these. And when I first got started, like I said, the status that I shared was kind of like they was questioning who I was, and they was questioning like, is he the person for the job? You know what I mean? Is he the person to do it? Do y'all really trust this dude? Is this dude really y'all guy? So when that happened, the next time I went to do a presentation after that post, it was like 10, 12 police officers in the room.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if they thought they was going to tell me. I'm there for the kids. So, you know, I interact with the kids. But over time, it was like, now they shaking my hand. You know, now they fist bumping me, seeing some of them at the gym. You know what I mean? So I'm building a relationship with the police. You know what I mean? So I'm just looking at it like, I see police, say, what's up? How you doing or whatever? I don't give them no problems. They don't give me no problems. So when dude was approaching me, I'm just like, I'm not sure what's going on because I know that I have a relationship with the police. So I wouldn't be doing anything to put myself at risk to have any interactions with the police.
That part. Because I was at a meeting earlier this week, and Brother D happened to be there along with Michael Outlaw. And one of the things they said was, you know, for us to take a stance with you to develop a trust, there's stuff that comes with that in our community because of the historic treatment of our people and the relationships in the past. We just can't erase that with an ice cream cone and balloons.
Right.
You don't do that. What has to do is a bona fide effort, a practice, purposeful, meaningful relationship with the community. And you need people like yourself to be ambassadors to bridge that goal until it can actually organically happen.
Right.
Because I heard an officer say something in that very same meeting, and the officer said, and I found that interesting what he said. He said, I wanted the public to know that I'm for you, but not for you.
What?
Yeah. And I looked at him. I said, damn, that's the most coppish.
Hold on. Wait.
I'm not just saying, because.
No, just say the statement again.
He said, I wanted the public to know I'm for you, but not for you. And I don't think he understood how deep that was that he sounded it, because some people got, and look, hold up, I got family that's officers. I was in corrections for 30 years, employed, and I understand that.
Right.
However, there's some people that's just cops,
right,
or whatever, and everybody's suspect. They're always on a heightened alert, somewhat. They never really relax, and he kind of appeared to be one of those. And he was a younger gentleman, and I said, damn. He said, I wanted them to know, that was the most important thing for him. I wanted them to know I'm there for you, but I can't. What he was trying to say is one day that I might have to arrest you. I get that, but that's a given.
Got you.
That shouldn't even have to be said.
I'll take that completely different.
Yeah, but I get what he meant, but the connotations, he didn't understand how that could be taken from that historic. Everything has context.
Right.
And so I could have easily used that to divide the room, and we could have lit the room up and whatever, but I just thought that was a deep thing that he flippantly said or whatever, because what I think the police need to understand, that community policing won't work without people like yourself. It won't work without people like Brother D. It don't work. And so you have to have some citizen involvement. However, that doesn't mean, and I think this is where the police gets in, where they say, well, that means we're pro-crime, and that's almost insulting, though. But that's how they seem to take it.
Yeah, I don't understand how you can, because citizens get involved means pro-crime is pretty much saying that you're saying all citizens commit crime, and you don't want to have any type of relationship with these criminals.
Think about this, man. I mean, like, okay.
Again, shout out to Marcus Atkinson of Black Access Media. Appreciate the opportunity. For anybody who has not downloaded the app yet, please make sure that you go and download the app. It is available on the Google Play Store as well as the Apple Store. And when you're in the car on the radio, it is WICU 92.7 HD2. And I see Mabel over here in the comments. You lucky I ain't got enough time to come give me a smoothie. But
Bring the beat
that's
back.
all we got. We out.
All right, peace.
Let's have that conversation.